Hey guys, Ice Bear here, and I was tagged by Jason Outdoors and the Unpaved Explorer to do a worst backpacking trip ever video. So it's not hard for me to pick which trip was my worst. Most of my trips are absolutely amazing. Each one is unique and wonderful in its own way. And I absolutely love going outside. I love being on the trail. I love camping, everything. Even my worst weather, I still consider good trips because each experience is unique, and even in the worst weather, I still always have a really great time. Anytime I can get out is a good time. But I do have a worst backpacking trip ever, and I call it the worst backpacking trip that I ever had because I lost a good friend. I had to cut ties with somebody that was very important to me. I won't say who that friend was that I had to cut ties with because I want to respect their privacy, but I will throw up some pictures and clips from the trip that I have of me in DC. It was a beautiful hike. It should have been a really great trip. It was DC's first trip out with a backpack and everything on. She had gone day hiking with me before, and I had always carried the stuff that we needed just for day hiking, but this trip she carried a fully loaded pack that was probably too heavy for her, and it didn't fit her correctly, and it was a heavy pack. DC has problems with asthma, and this trip was especially hard because it was 93 degrees out with a real feel of 105 degrees. So high humidity, we were really sweating, we weren't getting enough fluids in, and the heat just made it all the worse. So what happened on this trip, we were down in Virginia, we were on Skyline Drive, on the Appalachian Trail. We got to our first overlook. It was amazing. You know, DC was blown away. That was her first summit ever. So it was exciting. She was breathing kind of heavy. We decided just to stick around and hang out at the overlook, take some pictures, you know, and really enjoy it. Our friend that had gone along with us on this trip got kind of grumpy, didn't want to be out in the direct sun, which was totally understandable, and they ended up going further down the trail and saying, you know, I'll see you guys later. After that, something happened. I don't know if it was the heat, I don't know if we were being annoying, and I'm not sure what exactly happened, but our friend ended up just taking shots at us like any chance they could get. At one point I had to carry DC's backpack for her because she wasn't quite breathing right, so she took off her pack, I put it on the front of me and wore it like a kind of like a baby, and carried it for half a mile so that she could get her breath back. She had an inhaler and she was using that too, and our friend that had gone along was saying that DC shouldn't be there if she wasn't able to carry a backpack. She should have stayed at home. There's no place on the trail for people like that can't carry a backpack. The final straw happened probably 3 hours later. We had gone about 6 miles on trail, and there had been a bear sighting at one of the shelters on the Appalachian Trail. It was 8.4 miles away from us, and we had already gone 6 miles. Again, this was DC's first trip, and I knew her feet wasn't gonna go that far. The friend insisted that we push on to this shelter, and the friend really wanted to see the bear. It was a nuisance bear. The bear had been getting into people's foods, hanging out at the bear pole, you know, trying to get the food down, and people had reported it and stuff. A couple of our other friends had seen the bear hanging around, and it was a well-known bear to be in that area. So when we set about just setting up camp before that shelter and going to see the shelter the next day, our friend said, no, not gonna happen, we need to push on. DC's huffing and puffing, she's wheezing, I can hear her wheezing, she's hitting the inhaler again, not really doing the greatest. We sat down and tried to get her breathing under control again, and our friend said, you don't sit down, we need to keep going, we need to keep going. I said, no, we need a break. And at that point, our friend turned to DC and said, does she change your poopy diapers for you too? And I lost my cool and I said, you know what? I'm done. She's done. You can go to the shelter yourself. We are getting off trail. We are leaving. I'm not gonna let you talk to my child like that. And we left. That action, us leaving the trail and leaving our friend to continue on as they wished, that broke a friendship that I really loved. I really felt close to that person, you know, that they were a good friend to me. That friendship was not able to continue on. We talked a little bit about it back and forth, and we just ended up arguing more. Even though we were off the trail, DC's health was good, you know, we were exhausted from the heat, but everybody was okay. Still talking about it, and the fact that that friend said such a crappy thing, it was a major block in our friendship, and we were never able to fix it. So I lost what I considered to be a good friend, and missed out on a big chunk of trail, and I missed out on that bear too, which that's probably a good thing, but you know, excitement. Hey, there's a bear, we know there's a bear, it'd be cool to see. That to me is my worst backpacking trip ever, based on all the bad that happened. The trail itself, I can't complain about. I mean, I've had times where I've downright broken my tent in a downpour. I mean, I've had some really crazy experiences, but I would never call any of them bad, because even the ugly parts are a lesson. They're an experience that I love to have. But you can move on from bad gear to good gear. You can get out of bad weather. You can sleep through a rainstorm. You know, you get over a cold night's sleep. But losing a friend, not so easy to get over. So that's why this trip would be what I consider to be my worst backpacking experience ever. So that's it for my video. I have some stuff coming up in the future that might interest you guys. I'm getting a new sleep system for B, and by the way, B now has a trail name. Kevin, Atypical Hiker, has officially named B Ghost. So from now on, his name will be Ghost instead of B. So that's awesome. Thank you, Kevin. Awesome trail name. He loves it, and he's excited to try again. I have a new sleeping pad and pillow coming in that I will review when I get them. I also have a lot of cool little gadgets that Mr. Rick Ross sent to me to try out, and I want to show those too. So I got some cool stuff coming up in the future. If you'd like to, stick around for that. Go ahead and hit the sub button, and I will see y'all out on the trail.